Another week, another podcast. You're listening to Far From Finished with Daniel.
And Josh, thanks for listening, guys. Back at it again with another potty pod. Not a Tide Pod because we're healthy out here and not stupid. So, yeah. How's it going, guys?
If you're listening out there, I want everyone to take a moment real quick. Appreciate all the things you have. Take a moment, take a deep breath. Be grateful for the life you have. Count your blessings. Everything's not always going to be good all the time, and it could be bad most of the time. But things will get better. You'll meet some cool people. You'll do some fun things. Just take some deep breaths and appreciate the life you have, because you never know what could happen at any moment to you or to anybody else around you.
You just have to be able to understand that going through bad shit or going through hard times or not having what you want, it's part of being a human. It's like you have to take it as, okay, I am allowed to have this full range of emotion: love, hate, happy, sad, mad, whatever you want to say. Like, you're able to feel all of those things, and you should take control of that and understand it and like be one with it, because whenever you have power over that, you really understand yourself a lot more.
And that takes time. But I just want everyone to kind of take a moment while you're listening to this and realize that it's going to be okay. Take some deep breaths right now. If you've been going through it, I'm letting you know it's going to be okay. And we've said it before, I want to say it again. If you need anyone to just talk to, you're going through anything, feel free to message one of us, talk to one of us. Everything's open. It's all on the table.
Yeah, we're pretty open people. With all we do is fucking work and try to release podcasts. So as far as communication goes, our DMs are wide open.
I don't know if you've listened to it recently, Josh, but Jaden Smith just dropped a new album.
I have listened to it. It's
Super
actually
good.
pretty dope. I thought it was. He said it's called Iris.
Iris.
I thought it was Aries at first because it's like ERYS. I thought the Y was like an E sound, and then the E was like an error. Aries. You know what I mean?
Aries would work. I thought it was Aries.
I thought it was Aries because isn't he an Aries? I thought Jaden
Possibly.
I think he was.
Potentially.
But I thought it was Aries, but Iris. It's a good ass album. I fuck with it.
I would definitely that's one thing recently, top album in my opinion of 2019. Not everyone's gonna agree, but I think it's tastefully done. It's really done well, and it touches a lot of emotions in there. It's full range. You got a lot of different things going on.
I don't know. It's a pretty hot take there, Daniel. I'd say Igor by Tyler's got some heat going.
I wouldn't put. Yeah, no, it's really good. It's well done. I wouldn't put that in my top 5 2019 though.
Igor?
Yeah.
Really?
Maybe I gotta think
Do you
about
have a top 5 that you would put above that? Right? Like, I'm trying to think about a top 3.
Yeah, nah. I mean, J. Cole's album was alright.
I fucked with that. That's in probably my top 5 of the year. It's just a full album of it's a collection of just bangers and other good songs that just R&B type of music, but it's all just people you can understand they're just having fun in the studio type shit. They're just having a fucking blast making this, making music with their friends.
That's what it should be. That's how I felt about Jaden's album too.
Yeah.
It was just him in the studio just having fun. It wasn't trying to put out anything or be anybody or try to flex anything.
Because that at the end of the day they have that in the back of their mind that I'm not gonna release anything that's not quality. But at the same time, they're not in the studio I gotta make quality. It's why I'm here. It's what I'm for. No, they're bro, let's have a good time. Well, some people are, but most people are on some, let's have a good time. If we make some shit, we make some shit. We got enough money to not give a fuck at this point.
Yeah, I guess at that point, if you don't realize that. Because there are still people at that stage that are worried about what people are going to think when they put it out or this and that. But if you're good enough and you've got good enough people mastering it and producing it, it's going to be fire no matter what you do.
The best kind of artist creates their art without the worry of how other people will perceive it.
True that. On that note, Stranger Things 3 also recently came out. I know you haven't seen either
I
one.
haven't seen any of the Stranger Things
If y'all haven't,
series.
if any of you have not seen that yet, I would highly recommend watching Stranger Things 3. It is a well put together show, front to back. The ending kind of pissed. Yeah, front to back. It definitely pissed me off at the end, but worth the watch. If you haven't seen any of them, seasons 1 and season 2 are also amazing. It's on Netflix.
Oh, on Netflix.
If you don't have it, find someone who does have Netflix. Just use their account.
And just DM me. I'll let you get mine.
There you go.
I'm kidding. You can't have my Netflix, you broke bitches.
Fair enough. All right, I guess on to the topic we were going to talk about. I just wanted to get those things out of the way because it's something I really enjoyed. I wanted to share with all of you. But I think today we're going to talk about memory, talk about the mind, past, present, future. I think I covered all three. So now, then, tomorrow.
Covered all three.
Tomorrow.
Said, is there a fourth? I mean, there's a fourth meal for Taco Bell. So I mean, they have breakfast, lunch, and dinner, and then they're like, fourth meal, it's 3 a.m.
Yeah, maybe, no, past, present, future, yesteryear. I don't know. I'm not a scientist.
Aren't you?
I just give my hot takes and fresh perspectives.
Oh, yeah, dude.
Yeah, takes are pretty hot, so get them while you can.
You know what would be a good show? Hot takes with hot cakes. You just, giving hot takes while you eat pancakes the whole time.
What's the show on YouTube where...
That's Hot Wings.
Hot Wings, so wouldn't that be essentially almost the same, except...
I guess, but it's not like the pancakes are spicy hot. They're just, called hot cakes.
Hot takes with hot cakes. Whenever you're giving these hot takes, are we eating...
hot cakes,
Are we eating them? It's kind of hard, I feel like.
Raw. Food in your mouth. Oh, man. Nah, but going back to what we're talking about. So
what were we talking about?
We're talking about everything and nothing at the same time. So I'm glad we're all on the same page. But basically, today we're going to go into memory, how it affects not just who you are, who you've been, and who you can be, but how it also affects the people around you.
I just want to say this. We're not talking scientifically memory. We're not going into the science of what memory is or the basics. I want to put that out there. We might give some details. We might get some facts, but I want to let everyone know that this is not... We're giving perspectives, opinions, thoughts, and then you give your own take. You can do your own research, but I just want to say that we're not here to necessarily give you the exact down-to-it details. We might, occasionally, and we might have our facts.
We're not professors at Columbia University, so don't take this... Well, do take this with a grain of salt. But at the same time, we're going to give you our takes, and if you like them, cool. If you don't, all right, cool. Doesn't mean anything to us. We're going to keep going, and we're going to keep living, and we're going to keep loving, and yeah.
We're doing a great job. So back to memory. Don't take it like we're Columbia University professors talking about the mind and how memory works. We're not going to be doing that.
We're going to be talking about the way that memory seems to work, not the way that it does work.
That's exactly what we're at. So with that being said, you have an idea of somebody, right? You have what you thought of somebody or what you remember of a situation. And, that's not always going to be perfect because let's be honest, you probably barely remember what to put on in the morning. So with that being said, if you have an idea of somebody, you can't always hold them accountable today. I mean, you can. Don't get me wrong. You should hold people accountable. We had a whole podcast on holding people accountable. So you should definitely do that. But you should, whatever they did, let's say it's 2 years ago and your memory of them was that they were a piece of shit. Yeah. They might still be a piece of shit. But what I'm saying is who they were then is not who they are now.
Growth happens. It's just not always in the right direction. Sometimes you can grow into a worse person for bad reasons. Sometimes you can grow into a great person for great reasons. But at the end of the day, growth is going to happen. It's just about where you allow yourself to go. As far as memory goes, it's like whenever you think about something you've done, first of all, a person's thought process is not that reliable. For some reason, people choose to be give first person takes on crime scenes and shit, but it's the least admissible evidence in a courtroom because people don't know what the fuck they talk about. They just they see things happen, they try to remember them. It's a little faulty, so they just add shit in to make it all smooth. But then you could be talking to somebody about how something went down and you could have been in the room for that thing to go down and you'd be like, bro, the fuck are you talking about, dog?
Completely recollected different than anybody else remembered it.
And that shit's weird.
It is weird, and the fact is, we always have these things. Majority of people, when they think, and this is also why a lot of people have anxiety and depression, is for the simple fact that we hang on to the things that happened in our past. And those aren't things that exist anymore. Those aren't even real. They happened, but what exists in your mind, that's not even real anymore. The only thing that's really happening to you, the only thing that really even matters at any point is what's happening to you at that moment and what you make of that moment.
Which is one of the hardest things to like realize and do something about, though.
Real eyes are realized.
Shut up.
Okay.
No, but like that's what I'm saying. Is like once you realize that you're doing something, I guess like that's not in the right direction for you, it's like almost impossible to realize those things when in the moment. But at the same time, it's even more impossible to fucking change your ways and fix it. It's just a matter of willpower, I guess.
It is. Crazy enough, this happened yesterday. On the way, I was going to the restroom, and I was in the midst of about to be using the restroom when it kind of dawned on me. And it hit me, and I was sitting there thinking about all the things that I've been doing and all the things I want done. And I sat there and I thought about how much I focused on everything else going on around me and all the things that have happened in my past. And I always, worst thing is I think about the future so much. I'm like, okay, what is this going to be and what is this going to be? But the future doesn't exist if I'm not doing shit now. But at the moment I was using the restroom, so it didn't really matter what I was doing at that moment.
So you were doing shit, just not.
Yeah. But in that case, I guess what I was doing now wasn't important because I needed to get it done, but it wasn't like.
You said it wasn't important.
It wasn't of top priority at that moment. I mean, no, it was. So in that case, though, I really was thinking about how much I focus on things that I've done, and sometimes I'm like, oh, I really messed that up, or I shouldn't have done that, or I could have done that better, I could have been doing this instead of doing this, or like I'll be sitting there thinking about the future and thinking, oh, I should be doing this, or I could be doing this.
So that I can be doing this later on.
And it's like none of that exists, though.
Yeah, that's true. Just to wrap up what Daniel just said, anytime you need to go use the restroom, just remember that you can be doing better for your life and just hold it in and say, fuck no, that toilet's going to be clean forever because I'm never using the restroom again. I'm going to do better for myself and I'm going to go be successful. Yep. That's what I'm going to do.
Don't think about the restroom because I know in the past you knew you had to use it, but that's no longer a thing of the future.
That's a thing of the past. It's done for, buddy.
We're in the now.
It's like, come on, get it together, bro. Like...
But
catch up.
Your memory and what you think you were, though, it's easy to get caught up in these things because that's how the mind works. The mind is a thing that we accumulate all these things that have happened, all these things that we know and learned, and then we paint a picture of what we think things are. But that doesn't always mean that it's what they are.
Yeah, I mean, the silly thing about it is that even with as... like, because memory is something that's, like, both shitty and incredible. Like, the fact that you have the ability to store moments in time in your brain without trying to, without thinking about it, it's just there. Sometimes it comes up, and sometimes you don't ever think about this shit, and, like, something random will bring it up. But it's weird that that is the same phenomenon that can account for something so unreliable.
Yeah, absolutely. Don't get me wrong, memory is a beautiful thing, and it could even help you at times to solve or crack the case. I'm not saying that you are solving or cracking the case. But, just like when people meditate, sometimes those thoughts will come up or you have a certain memory, and it could help in aiding whatever you're doing at that moment. It could be specific to whatever you're dealing with at the time. But you shouldn't let that overcome what you're doing in your day-to-day life. You shouldn't get so caught up in the past that you're living in a time that's non-existent, because the past does not exist. But some people do live in the past, and they're so worried about things that went there, they're not able to live the life that they're living now. They're not able to overcome whatever happened in the past to fully live their life in the present.
And so many people are overwhelmed by yesterday that they lose today and worry about tomorrow. It's just crazy.
You don't want to do that. You don't want to do that because then at that point you're constantly in a state of losing time. And this is in the aspect of relationships. I know a lot of people have had things happen to them in the past, and it's hard to become vulnerable. It's hard to trust people, or not. Yeah, and I don't just mean romantic relationships. It could be a platonic relationship,
or even a friendship.
Friendship, yeah, family relationship. It could be just romantic relationship. But sometimes things might happen to you in the past, so it becomes hard for you in the future or in the present day. Really, is what I'm saying.
It's like when a girl meets a guy and she's like, "You're not gonna cheat on me, right? Because my last boyfriend cheated on me." And it's like, I'm not your last boyfriend, and that wasn't a necessary question because we just met.
And there's the thing. Okay, they might, it might happen a couple times. At that point, you shouldn't be worried necessarily about the guy. You should probably be a little bit more careful, but you should never be less vulnerable. You should let yourself be as you are. Exactly. But just take in that moment. Learn from your mistakes and the fact what was it about this person that led to whatever it was, and then try to learn from that and get to know people before you just jump into anything.
Yeah, but there's always, like, I guess, two sides to every story. You know what I mean? Like, as far as, like, that goes, like, you can, even in relationships, like, you don't know necessarily how your actions or your words or anything affect somebody else, and you also don't know how that affects their memory. I mean, the best you can do at any point is just be, like, as genuine as possible, help other people when you can, and just do the best that you can for yourself. I mean, nobody's out here looking out for you like you're looking out for you. That doesn't mean only be worried about yourself or be self-centered. It just means do your best to be mindful of your actions.
But in that aspect, you should, no, definitely. I was gonna have something to refute that, but I'm gonna agree with you here. I'm gonna just move forward. With that being said, you never know what the other person's thinking, and you don't know the reasons behind their actions. So you can't always put the blame on yourself, or you can't even put the blame on everybody because everyone's gonna be different. So you can't live in that moment of what that was. And the worst part is, I want to say, is there's people who have gone through traumatic things, and for people that have, very brave to keep pushing forward, and it's not an easy thing to do because those things are going to keep coming up because, they took a big part of your life. But the thing is, at some point, it may take time. Just try to appreciate what you have in the moment. Account for all the things around you. Those memories at that point are just memories.
Right.
There's something that did happen, and they may have an effect on your life now, but the whole point is to try to move forward from that and not let those things hold on to you. Your memory of what that situation was, what that person did, maybe what you did because you might have did something that wasn't for the best, but it's what can you do now instead of holding on to those ideas of what were, instead of letting all of those things affect you, and start actually eating away at what your life is now, because you're never going to get better if you don't take the steps to fix what you have now and make the best of what you have now, because as long as you focus on the past, you'll never be fully present in the present, and then your future will never be what you really want it to be.
The thing about trauma is that it's the first step to healing, and that you're not going to be a healed person until you go through some bullshit that breaks you. And you're not going to understand the shit that breaks you until you allow yourself to feel that trauma. Some people can't handle it. Some people don't have the support system around them or in their own head to be able to stop the trauma from happening to them continually. But the thing is that when you push through that shit, it's going to feel better than you've ever felt. It's unexplainable to not only go through some of the hardest shit you've ever gone through, but to get to the other side and say, I'm still alive. That shit's, it's incredible. It's unfathomable how some people can lose both parents in a day, the next day lose their job, the next day lose their house. And then in 3 months you see them thriving. It's fucking unfathomable. But it happens, and why couldn't it happen to you?
I mean, the way you put that, he's not saying why couldn't the trauma happen to you. I don't think that's what he's saying.
I mean, what I'm saying is that if the trauma did happen to you, why couldn't it be you to be the person to get out of it?
There we go. Because of the way you said it. Why couldn't it happen to you? You know what? You're right. I want to go through some trauma. No, that's not.
Said, my name's Taddy Franklin, and I'll kill your parents and, and make you lose your job and house for you. Just call my number. I'll take care of
It's
it
like,
all
you want to
for
go
you.
through some trauma, call us now. No, that's not what it meant, though. You can get through it. There's people who go through so much every day, and we each go through our own battle. And with that being said, it doesn't give you entitlement to be a dickhead if you do go through shit, just to be like, you don't know what I've been through. Okay, cool.
You don't know what I've been through either.
Exactly. I mean, it's both ends of it. It's not a battle. It's not a race. It's not a competition in any aspect of life. You know, we're all going through something. We're all battling something. It's just take the focus now, and don't. And it's like I want to say, it's hard to get my words across right now. They're all jumbled in my head. But if you have something that you remember a certain way, reflect on it now and ask yourself, are you a different person than you were then? Or is that person a different person than they were then? Sometimes you just got to give yourself the benefit of the doubt.
Sometimes you just got to take time to figure out if you even knew who you were then and if you even know who you are now.
That's a big one, too. I feel like this goes to say also when I was going to the bathroom with a lot happened. I'm telling you, ask anybody. When you're in the restroom, that's when the best things happen. When you're taking the shower,
By the way, this man's restroom is about 4 feet away from his bed. So whenever he said I was going to the restroom, I think walking, bro. It's like
it was like 2 steps.
3 steps, and then he was there. So he had about like a 7-second window to think his whole life over. Apparently,
I mean, I was. We have so much going on in our day-to-day lives that we don't take the time to know who we are or who we were. And that's stuff you got to do every day, is take time to yourself and realize who you are. And you might not have known who you were because so much was happening in your life, or you got caught up in situations and you always associated yourself with me being this person because I do this, or me being this person because I'm with this person, or I'm doing this. You never really take the time to figure out who you are. So the memory of yourself at that point, who you thought you were, isn't even correct. Or what you thought of that situation is null and void now because you weren't even sure of who you were and what you were doing.
you have to figure out what's a figment of your imagination and what isn't. Some people don't know the difference.
What's real? You know, you really got to take time to figure that out, because to realize what's real, you first have to realize what's not real. You have to realize what's the bullshit, what's going to not be important around you,
What's
all this
distracting you, what's in your way, what's stopping you from doing what you want to do, including yourself. Like, you have to deep dive into who am I and why am I.
and you have to uncover all that bullshit, and that may take some time, because what you might think is great or was great, in fact, may be the worst thing that could have happened to you, or the worst thing for you at that moment, and we don't want to admit that to ourselves. And so if you have this idea of like, yeah, you know what, I was this awesome person, and you finally realize, oh, I've been doing this entire time, and that's why everything I've done has failed, then really, was what you did even matter at that point?
At this point, you could use a little exercise as far as like going into and saying like, okay, so what's the realest thing I've ever experienced? Ask yourself that, and then go to anybody around you, because everybody around them has somebody in their life that's a little bit less fortunate than them, or way more less fortunate than they are. They just got a bad deck of cards, or whatever you want to chalk it up to. Go and ask them what's the realest thing they've ever experienced. And then you can compare your level of real with theirs and understand where you're at. Sometimes you're exactly where you need to be. Y'all are on the same page. But a lot of times it's going to be some famine or some death in the family or some gang violence or some other shit that you didn't want any part of, and you never did and you never could, and you don't even understand how somebody could deal with that shit. And once you realize that shit, you're like, damn, I thought I knew what real was? Fuck no, this is all bullshit. This is life here, and people are living it in a terrible way, in a terrible fashion, and there's not really much being done about that. And like, that's really what it gets down to, is like, what's real or fake? Am I real or fake? Is what I'm doing real or fake? You have to ask yourself these questions.
And it's always a tough thing, especially when you have your ego telling you one thing, like, this is me, and you want to have this image, you want people to think this, or you want to be this and you want to be that. What do you really want is the question. Not because it looks a certain way to other people, not because it's going to make you look a certain way, not because you're going to have this status, but who are you really?
If you're doing things for the benefit of other people and those people aren't your children, you're failing. You're failing. You've gone down a road of no control. You have zero opportunity in your life to do what you want at this moment because you're doing what everybody else wants for you, or what everybody thinks that you want for yourself, instead of deciding, honestly, I love y'all and I appreciate the support, but fuck you, I'm gonna do whatever I want. You gotta have that conversation sometimes. You don't have to be so disrespectful, but you do have to have that conversation.
At the end of the day, everyone's going to have an idea of who you are to them. You're going to have an idea of who you are to them. They're going to have an idea of who you are in general, and you're going to have an idea of who you are as well. Not everyone's idea of who you are and who they are going to match up, and that's okay. So you got to remember, the mind's not always the most reliable thing. What is the most reliable is when you hold true to yourself and you're doing things not because of what happened or what you remember of a situation, but because of what you want, and you realize who you are, so you realize what you have to do and what's best for you at this current time, at this moment. The past does not exist anymore. The future has not yet happened. Those do not matter. What matters is what you do right now and what happens right now. And I've said this a lot of times before because I cannot stress it enough. This is the time. This is the moment. The present is all that ever going to matter. Ever. There is no future without now, and that's period. The past is no longer, so all you have is right now. Neither of those things exist, and your mind isn't always reliable, so all you can do at the current time is do what you know is best for you at this time.
Fuck yeah. It's the best advice you can give anybody at this age right now. I mean, when people are so worried about, no, this is how I think, it's like, okay, well, we can all have a conversation as long as it doesn't get hostile and go into a fucking gun, what's it called, a shootout? Is it a shootout?
Shootout.
What is it called when they're like, draw?
Is that a shootout? I don't know, man. I haven't watched a good Western in a long time. I have no idea.
I don't know what it's called either, but it doesn't have to be like that. It doesn't have to be so hostile. It doesn't have to be so argumentative and combative. It can just easily be two people having a conversation and having a difference of opinion.
I hope everyone kind of gathered something from this. If you didn't, that's cool too.
Be like that sometimes.
Yeah, it does. And we all have our lives to live. We all have things that we've had to go through and things that we're going to continue to go through. Just remember that whatever happens, take time to yourself. Realize that there is a lot going on. Things are beautiful. Life can be beautiful. It can be rough at times as well. And you never know when your last day is. So do what you want to do. Do what you feel like is best, not because anybody else says so. Not because you feel like you have to have things a certain way by a certain time. But do things because that's what's best for you now. Because in time, that'll lead to things better for you then.
Exactly.
It may take longer than some other people because not everyone's going to have their shit together all at the same time.
And some people have a blueprint to the top already, just basically based on family or just networking or just them working their ass off. I mean, they might have a blueprint to get to where they need to be already, and something you'll never have, but that doesn't mean you can't get there. It just means you have to work a little bit harder. This might not be fair, but life's not fair, so stop expecting it to be.
Hey everybody, you're all very beautiful. Don't forget it. Don't forget that you're an amazing person and that you can do anything you put your mind to. It's cheesy.
Yeah. Just do your best, man. Like, nobody's fucking expecting the world out of you. Nobody's expecting you to be Atlas and put the whole globe on your back and just raise it up. No one's expecting you to be Goku and get the belief of everyone in the fucking world so you can have a spirit bomb like this. That no one's expecting this shit out of you. Stop making yourself seem like a superhero. I mean, you are a superhero. You're just not with all the responsibility.
Don't hold on to the past.
Definitely don't.
And don't expect the future. The time is now.
Don't expect the future. All right, guys, we're all gonna die tonight.
Hey, we might. I don't know.
Pay attention to the future. Expect it, because I mean, you hope to be living tomorrow. I guess
Could be on some Stranger Things shit. You could die. You never know. And if you haven't watched it, it's pretty good. With that being said,
spoiler alert.
I'm signing out. This is Daniel Velasquez.
All right, this is Josh Moreno. Again, if you guys have any questions, or comments or concerns, you can DM us. My Twitter handle is going to be at Josh_M7.
My Twitter handle actually is going to be at Lost Idealist. And no, it's been at Lost Idealist, but my name on Twitter is Dandy with the lion emoji. So if you look up Dandy with a lion emoji next to it, I guarantee you I'll pop up.
I'm pretty sure your name on Twitter is Rad Dude Dandy, isn't it?
Oh yeah, I'm sorry. I definitely changed my Twitter @name a while back. It's gonna be at Rad Dude Dandy. Thank you, Josh, for coming through on that. My bad. I gave you all the complete wrong Twitter @. Yeah, it's at Rad Dude Dandy.
Hey, but whoever has Lost Idealist now, hope you get some followers, bud.
Alright, with that being said, we're signing off. This is far from finished, and we're far from finished.
As you can see.